Everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. Happy weekend. We are looking at Kent's 360. This is a pretty early model. If you guys that have worked on 360s or might be a fan of them, you know that there was a bunch of changes made to these things throughout the model runs. They started out existence, what would it have been? I'm going to say 76, 77, somewhere in there. It was an evolution of the 350. This particular saw should be, by all rights, a late year 77 model, if I'm looking at that right, which would fit roughly with what I remembered. But that S clutch, that 2 5/8 S clutch that you'd find very commonly on the Super EZ, also lives on this saw. So these early models had that. You also found that clutch on the 150. That means when you're looking for a clutch drum, you've got some options there. Now you still got to use the right bearing and race on this saw, but you can upgrade it to a rim drive and all that kind of jazz if you want to. Another sign of these early saws is the side adjust for the bar tensioning right there. It's actually pretty cool. Homelite did it long before steel did. Why they didn't keep doing it? Who knows. Probably because it was easier to go back to the front screw setup and not have to deal with gears. But anyway, back to Kent's saw. You can hear it's running really good. And this was one that he picked up and he said just go through it. He'd already started cleaning some things up. I took advantage of that. I always love, when there's already the junk cleaned out of the carburetor area and the starter area and, just stuff like that. So this saw has an intake boot. If I don't know the history of a saw, I am going to take it down and check that boot and 99% of the time replace it. So I did, and it was stiff. It would have torn fairly quickly if it had started and run. New fuel hose. Ken had already loaded up a new air filter in here. Had good spark. That's always a plus. Starter rope. Needed the pulley to the bronze bushing oiled in here. You don't want to go crazy with that. You just want to get a couple drops of good oil to lubricate that up. And then tension on these things. You pull with these screws loose right now. This thing would unspool about 3 turns. That's how you tension the rope up. As you spin this around and hold it, it'll pull the rope in tight, and then you want to go another 2 to 3 turns depending on how it feels. This one has a good positive retraction. That's what I wanted. So new vibration isolation bushings. 2 of the 4 were pretty mushy and soft. I personally find it to be false economy to just replace the 2, so all 4 of them got replaced. Duckbill valve in the cap. The bar was in terrible shape in terms of the rails being splayed open, so I closed those, put it on the bar shop. What had been the top rail, that took, I want to say 9 or 10 passes on the flat wheel to actually get a flat surface here. That chain was significantly riding to the side, and then with that many passes I went ahead and grooved it back out a little bit, especially on the tail end. It was getting pretty thin there. You don't want your drive links on your chain dragging in there. So anyway, other things that I came across, these handle grips aren't real easy to come by anymore, and when you do find them, they're usually 15 or 20 bucks on eBay, which, that's not the end of the world, but the old trigger had actually worn to the point where it was slopping hard to the side, and it was dragging on this grip. So if you've got to service any of this assembly, make sure you got a printout of the IPL. I've got them all on my website, but print that out ahead of time so you can reference it. There's a couple of drive pins in here that kind of hold everything in place. To get this grip off, what you do is you take this bottom strap, the handle brace off, and then you're going to want to work a screwdriver up in here in a few different spots and kind of break loose. They used something that looked like rubber cement on it. Most of the time it's pretty deteriorated, and you can work this loose pretty easily. And then you've got to slowly slide the whole thing back. You pull your triggers and get them out of the way and just kind of work it over there. So that's how you get to service that. Yeah, what else? I think that's about it. Just general maintenance. Had this 360 back up and running. So Kent, when you're ready, she is ready to go.